Hey guys, VaguelyAmusing again. Thought I'd make a second video on the Blue Torch alcohol stove. This time I'm going to use a 12 centimeter zebra pot, or billy can, whatever you want to call it. I've got 2 cups of cold water, got ice in it right now. I'll take the ice out just before I pour it in. Just about an ounce of, or it is an ounce of heat fuel. And on the other video I talked about, oh, this is a Super Cat. This is the little fancy food can or potted meat can, real quick, kind of a emergency type little stove that you can make out of a can real quick with just a can and a hole punch. Anyway, they actually work really good, but I wanted something a little more durable, and these will kind of crush pretty easy, and something a little more permanent. But anyway, I wanted to show that. But what I did, instead of drilling the relief holes inside the interior of the stove, what I did was I took it's called a rat tail file, or kind of a little round file, and I made 2 little relief cuts. I don't know if you can see that real well, but it's basically just a half circle cut on both sides here. What I found out was, if the pot makes a really good seal on the top of the stove, that's when it will tend to build up a little bit of pressure. So with those 2 little relief cuts in there, it should keep it from sealing totally, which should be enough to keep it from boiling over. Anyway, okay, here we go. Let me get the ice out of the water here. Alright, got the ice out of the water. It's actually about a 1/4 inch above 2 cups. So we'll pour that in here. Anyway, the water's good and cold. And we'll put the lid on. Go ahead and pour the ounce of fuel in. One thing I did notice on this is put 2 ounces of fuel inside it earlier to see if it would take it, and put a few drops around here so I can prime it. It says it'll take 2 1/4 ounces of fuel, but if you put 2 1/4 ounces of fuel in that stove, it's virtually right up to the holes where the flame comes out. So 2 ounces was really high. If you move the stove at all, it would come out of the burn holes. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't put anything more than 2 ounces in it. But here goes. All right, we'll see how long that takes to bloom out. Yesterday I tried it a couple times. It took about 30 seconds to come to a full bloom, which is pretty fast. So we'll see, and there it goes. Alright, we got a full bloom. Let's put the zebra pot on with cold water. You can see the dew that's on the zebra pot. We'll set that on there and try to leave the handle up. Once you set the pot on, the flames really start to calm down, and should give a really good burn pattern on that pot. That's a 12 centimeter zebra pot, which is a pretty good sized pot, I think, for 1 or 2, maybe even 2 people when you're out camping or backpacking. But It's got a pretty good burn pattern on it. Looks like it's doing pretty good. Probably put the handle down on it now. Didn't get a windscreen with it. I think I'm gonna try to figure out some way of making a windscreen. I'll probably get some heavy-duty aluminum and probably make it just a little bit taller than the stove, maybe about a ½ inch taller than the stove, and get enough to probably go around this pot, because this pot's probably going to be the biggest for me, be the biggest pot I use, and probably do that. Maybe fold over some heavy-duty aluminum maybe 2 or 3 times, and then just stick a paper clip on it. I can kind of keep it together and fold it up or something when I'm not using it. Anyway, I'll annotate exactly when I put the pot on. Yesterday it started boiling in the Nalgene cup. It's the cup that the Nalgene bottles will fit into, that you can put on the bottom of the cup. It did that went from cold water to a real heavy rolling boil in about 5 minutes and 20 seconds, I believe it was. And just kind of a side note, I did find out that using a fire steel works really well to light it. And if you hit it just right, you can get the inside lid and the outside lid with one shot on it. Works real well. You don't have to mess with matches or a lighter or anything, but basically they want you to light the inside first and then hit the priming pad. Let's take a look. Well, I don't know if we'll get a boil on it or not. Just looking at it, there's no bubbles at all on the inside. And I did put 1 ounce of fuel in it. I think yesterday that lasted about 7.5 minutes or so. It's really got a nice flame pattern. That's one thing I do like about it. It's real consistent and makes a nice solid flame under it with the holes set in it as close as they have them and as many as they have. It does work real well that way. Now again, I don't know if you can hear it, but it sounds to me like it's boiling. Pretty close. We might be nearing the end of our alcohol. I'm not sure. Let me pick this up. Let's look on the inside here. It's like a hard rolling boil to me. It's over 2 cups of cold water when I put in there 1 ounce of fuel for the stove in a stainless steel 12 centimeter pot. So that was probably the water temperature on that was probably pretty close to 40, 45 degrees, something like that. It's a refrigerator, out of the refrigerator with some ice in it, and 1 ounce of fuel. It's about 12 minutes 30 seconds right now on the video. Like I said, I'll annotate it, and there goes the fuel. So I would say that was probably about a good 10-minute burn on 1 ounce of fuel. Did a pretty good job. Anyway, that's kind of a second look at the Blue Torch stove and different pot, and I got the relief cuts in the top of it. Looks like it did pretty good. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time on the next video.